So this is a little weird. I'm recording from home today. My classroom is in disarray, so I can't do it from the classroom. Summer school is over on my campus, so they're doing the repairs that they do during the summer. And my room right now is completely torn apart because they are redoing our de-escalation room. So with that said, excuse the mess. This is kind of a storage room as well as my office behind the garage. No air conditioning, kind of nasty little area, but it is where it is quiet in my house. I'm a teacher that works in a self-contained classroom for students with emotional behavioral disorders. I developed this channel to help others who work with this population and also to help me reflect and hold myself more accountable for my work. I can honestly say that a majority of my students have severe ADHD. While most students with ADHD can be successful in the general education classroom, my students have shown in the past that they aren't able to self-regulate enough to be successful with the general population. Yet. With that said, after spending time in my classroom, many of these students learn the social skills and coping mechanisms that they need and eventually are able to slowly reintegrate with their general education peers. I have found for the most part that these kids almost immediately are able to improve their behaviors and the ability to function when they enter my classroom. This video will be the first in a series that I'm developing about working with students with ADHD. Today, we will focus on scheduling and repetitive schoolwork and homework. So, I'd like to start this video talking about scheduling and how I schedule my day for kids with ADHD. When I schedule a day for students with ADHD, I use a technique called smart scheduling, which means I rotate between higher energy activities and low activities. No, I didn't mean low activities. I meant low energy activities. You get the point. After that, we start our day with breakfast. And this year, the federal government is providing breakfast for all of our students, so there's no excuse for not letting your kids eat breakfast at the first part of the day. It takes 10-15 minutes, and they have full bellies, and then maybe they'll behave a little better because they're not hangry. After that, we rotate between Couch and 5K, which is a program that teaches people that are lazy and haven't been exercising, which is a lot of us after COVID, to run 5K. So you start with going from small minutes and then rotating between walking and running to all of a sudden, after a couple of months, being able to run 5K. This is awesome. Anyway, then we also sometimes do weight room and we rotate into yoga as well. This is great for students that their medicine haven't kicked in yet. First thing in the morning, this is usually the case with our kids that with ADHD, it takes like an hour or so for the medicine to kick in. They need to do something higher energy to help them get grounded and ready for academic work. It also is great for kids who aren't on medicine because it gets some of that energy out, again, to help them be grounded for academic work. And kind of important to me is, guys, this gives me time to exercise and it holds me accountable to exercise. Between COVID and the year before when I was put on medicine, I have gained a ton of weight. It's so embarrassing. Usually I am little itty bitty, and if I gain a little weight from medicine, I'm able to take it off. This middle age thing is terrible. So I went from being little itty bitty to not so little itty bitty, and I need to exercise. So this part of the day is for me as well as a student. So after our short period of getting buff, gotta get physical. Okay, that was really awkward. I'm so sorry. Anyway, after we do that, we usually do a check-in with our class. The kids have to give us a good thing, or something they're thankful, or something that's going on in their life that is good news. Sometimes our kids really struggle with this good things, and I allow them to also share a bad thing. But if they have a bad thing that they have to share, they have to try to come up with 2 good things as well to counteract the bad things. So our good things could be, hey, I got up and I'm breathing now. If they had a really bad night, sometimes just saying I'm thankful to be alive is a good enough thing. After that, we do a short social skills lesson. It's usually a little mini lesson on something that the whole class is struggling with. So for example, my kids may be on the playground and they were fighting and not being great team players while they were playing basketball. So we might have a mini lesson about how to play basketball, what the rules are, and how to be good team players, good sports. This is important because our kids really want to fit in with their general education peers, and if they learn these things prior to going back into the general education classroom, they become more successful. And that's the whole point of our social skills lessons, is for them to learn pro-social skills so that they can fit in with the rest of their peers. After our exercising and our check-in and our social skills, we usually then turn to the more academically rigorous activities. This helps prevent that end of the day rut that most kids have. They have this academic cognitive fatigue. And like I said, I think this is pretty common with all kids. It's common with adults. If you've been in a place from 7:30 to 3:30, you're gonna be a little tired by 2 o'clock. So what we do is we make sure that the kids have their meats and potatoes in the morning. So in the afternoon, we are more successful. What we do at the end of the day is we have our academic, social check-in time. At this time of the day, we talk about how did our day go? Did we do something really well with our behaviors? Is there something we're struggling with? What can we do better tomorrow? And after we talk about these things, the kids then use points that they've earned throughout the day to purchase an award that they have earned through their good behaviors. This also gives them time to kind of relax before they go home. And it's just a really good transition time. So kids with ADHD really need predictability. They like to know what their day is going to look like. Because of this, I have my students copy the schedule on a checklist when they first get to class. When they are finished with an activity, they then check it off. It gives them a sense of control. With that in mind, I do not add times to schedule for my students. I do this for multiple reasons. One, because it gives me the flexibility to go longer or shorter on a lesson, depending on the needs of the students. And 2, because I have found that a lot of my students will perseverate on the time if they're given a finish time. Are we done yet? Is it snack yet? I'm hungry. Mrs. Holloway, what time is it? When they aren't given times, they are able to focus on the assignment more than the clock. Many kids with ADHD exhibit sleep problems at night. With this in mind, do your best to schedule subjects that require more attention when they are most fresh. If a student hasn't slept, allow the time for a quick nap to help them recover. But the student is missing valuable class time, you may say. I would ask, what is more effective? Spending the whole day with the student struggling to stay composed and focused because they haven't slept, or having them miss 30 minutes of the school day to rest, resulting in them being able to focus more throughout the rest of the day? With that said, if the student is sleeping a lot, it is important that the student is still found accountable for missed schoolwork. Also, keep in contact with their parents and medical team. Sometimes things like medicine changes may be needed or even the cause for their sleepiness. And it's so very important to have this communication among team members so that their medical team can make treatment decisions based on real-time observation. So the next thing I would like to talk to you about is schoolwork and homework. Most students require a lot of repetition in order to master a subject. However, with students with ADHD, too much repetition can actually cause them to become anxious, lose focus, and have academic fatigue. That's causing them to develop more cortisol, which blocks their ability to concentrate. You will notice that in this case, the student initially understands the subject, but then starts making careless mistakes or shutting down, which to the outsider may look like they are being lazy, which is usually not the case. But what do? You can't just split the assignment in half. Schoolwork has a tendency to become more difficult as a sheet goes on, making teachers afraid to not assign the whole sheet. So a better way to deal with this for a student with ADHD is to assign every other problem or every third problem so that the student has the opportunity to work on different types of problems with varying levels of difficulty. If anybody knows me, I do not like to give a lot of homework. I truly believe that after school that students should be spending a majority of their time being active and spending time with their family. I know that I'm exhausted after an entire day at work, and I try my best not to bring work home with me so that I can relax. Most non-teaching jobs do not require their workers to go home only to work from home after work. Why would we expect anything different from our students? The research is fairly contradictory as to what the benefits and consequences of homework are. But what we do know is that Nordic schools test better than American schools and do not require homework for younger students. Why cause our students and families undue stress when they should be focusing more on self-care and social relationships? I do require that my students read every night. They still need to work on math fluency, word study, and work on longer hands-on projects at home. But I give my students Fridays to work on assignments that they don't finish in the class or to improve on non-passing grades or on completed assignments and assessments. So I know that some schools require that students have homework. If this is the case in your district, always follow the rule that students should have no more than 10 minutes of homework a night per grade level. So a student in first grade should not have more than 10 minutes, 5th grade, 50 minutes, and 9th grade, 90 minutes. I have taught students who have come from a local charter school who requires a lot of extra nightly homework. These kids have come to me with really unnecessary anxiety because they were unable to meet the unrealistic homework expectations given to them. So how do I hold my students accountable for reading? So I have in the past given my students reading logs, and frankly, they did not work. I was finding that often they were being signed by well-meaning parents without the students actually reading. So I solved this problem with one of my general education colleagues, and I now give my students a log that requires them to enter a reading response that includes details from what they read. I do not accept answers like, "This chapter is cool," "This is my favorite book ever," or "The character was sad." They have to actually add details in their responses. I'm not dumb. So I find that letting my students choose what they are reading is helpful. If they choose to read a graphic novel, who cares? At least they're reading. In a country where the average person between 18 and 44 reads less than 7 minutes a day, and most of that's on the internet, it's important for me to develop a love of reading in my students. Working with kids with ADHD can be a very challenging thing. I hope you found this video helpful. Please press like and subscribe to my page if you did. That way you can watch the rest of the series on working with students with ADHD. Hope to see you soon. Bye.